Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spiral Out Podcast. I'm your host, Chris West. On today's show, we have Melody McPherson. She is the ambassador for Tool Army, which essentially means she works for Tool, and she is the go-between between the Tool fans, right, and Tool. She handles the middle ground, like a liaison of sorts. She's a wonderful person and really, really nice, and we as Tool fans are lucky to have her. And make sure you give Melody McPherson a high five when you see her at shows. So enjoy this episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Melody. As always, this episode is brought to you by rockabilly.com. And spiral out, everyone. And welcome to Spiral Out Podcast. I'm your host, Chris West. On today's show, we have Melody McPherson. She's the ambassador for Tool Army. She is the liaison between Tool Army and Tool, correct?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for coming on. Can you go over a little bit about what your position is, and then we'll get into some of your history and all that good stuff?
Tool Army. Basically, it's a really broad thing that I do, but there's two components really: fan engagement and customer service. So if you go to toolband.com and you can't log in, I can help you with that. If you go to the community on toolband.com and you want to talk about Tool and you want to show off your posters and you want to talk about anything Tool related, go into the community, and I'm there. I post several times a week. So we have a great group of Tool Army members that are regulars that come every day. It's like our own little social media group that we have. If you have a pre-sale code, if you're a Tool Army member and you want to get tickets and you're having problems with your pre-sale code, I can help you with that. Basically anything with the store. If you had a problem with your merchandise, I can help get it sorted. I can email the right people and we can take care of any issues that you have with posters or any sort of merchandise or anything that you purchased on the store. And then as far as the fan engagement, I do love meeting the fans. I don't go to every show. My life isn't, set up that way, unfortunately. That's probably the hardest part of my job is I can't go to every show, especially like the international ones. I wish I could be there. But I'm married with children and they need me and I can't be on the road for 6 weeks at a time or whatever. But I love going to the shows and meeting fans. That's my favorite thing. Just talking to fans. I mean, I just went to Sonic Temple and I met some incredible people and they were just so excited. It was their first time seeing Tool or whether it's their first time or their 30th time seeing Tool, they're just so excited to be there and they're so passionate. And I love that. It's definitely my favorite thing. It's just meeting fans in person. So
about how many times do you see Tool about when they play? Like, say they have a run, how many times do you go?
Yeah, I try to make as many shows work as possible with my schedule. So the last US tour, I went to 6 shows. So I did go out west, the one that ended in Las Vegas, and I saw you there at the VIP. Yeah. So that's another thing, I'll meet the VIP and I'll be there at sound check and, we'll have a little bit of time to interact with some fans at VIP.
How does one become Tool Army's ambassador?
So management asked me about 3 years ago now. It'll be 3 years in August. I was approached by management and said, we need a liaison to work with the fans to kind of help us in these areas where, fans feel like they need some help with stuff. And I love to help, so
Sure.
they were looking for certain qualities in an ambassador, somebody who's really positive, somebody who's not posting negativity on the internet about Tool, which does tend to happen. And
I've seen it.
yeah, exactly. And they were looking for somebody, they can trust. Trust is huge. And that's, trust, integrity. Can you be professional? Can you bring a positivity to the community? And, I seem to be I genuinely think I was made for this role. So I just feel like it's perfect for me. I love it. Before this, I was a nurse. I'm a nurse and a mom. I'm a helper by nature. So I love helping people. And Tool is one of the things that I am most passionate about. And they've been my favorite band since I was 16 years old. So what more could I love, than this?
Yeah, then to get to help. You don't have to confirm or deny this, but I heard this role is voluntary, that they don't pay you.
That is correct. Yes, that is. I do everything on my own time. And it's because I am committed to Tool and the Tool fans, and I love it. So I get myself to shows. I go to any
You at
shows.
least get free shows, I hope.
I do. I do. Yeah, exactly. There are some perks to it for sure. But
Sure.
yeah,
At least that. I hope you at least get free shows.
definitely.
So how you said you got into Tool at 16. Tell me about that. Like how did it happen? What was your introduction to the band and why a Tool?
I feel like my whole life was sort of priming me for this band. I grew up in West Michigan in a small community, and I felt like, I just felt like a weird kid. I was just different, I loved drawing. Art was my thing. I was very sick when I was a kid. For a few years, I became very sick and I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease. So I spent a lot of time just listening to music, drawing, anything sort of therapeutic for me because I was in and out of the hospital a lot and very sick. And so my dad would sit and listen to records with me. And we would listen to Black Sabbath, King Crimson, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin. My dad was into classic rock. So that was what we listened to. And I loved it, and that was I felt like, a good primer for Tool for sure. So yeah, I was very much into art. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be an illustrator. I would just draw every day. In fact, a couple of my friends actually have tattoos that I drew for them.
Nice.
Yeah, so I took every class that I could, art class in school. I just loved art. So I was 16. I had just had surgery for my Crohn's disease. I was finally feeling healthy. I was finally feeling like, a normal kid. And I was watching MTV one day and the Sober music video came on and everything just clicked in my brain. It was just immediately like it drew me in. And I thought, this is my band. It just instantly clicked with me. It felt like finally something, this was in the 90s. So it was like grunge and everything. And of course, I loved that. But Tool was different. It just hit differently. It hit every single thing in my brain just right. I say it changed my brain chemistry. The music video for Sober, it was just instant. It clicked. I went out, I bought the Undertow CD, and I played that in my car. And anytime my friends got in my car, we were going to listen to Tool. Nobody had ever heard of it before. None of my friends, they'd never heard of Tool. And so I do think I turned quite a few people onto Tool during those years in high school for sure. But
I did the
yeah,
same thing.
yeah, it just felt like this is my band, and they've been with me ever since. And every
So,
single album that's come out, it just continues to, have that passion for me, that love for me. And yeah, their music means the whole world to me.
so what were you doing prior to being an ambassador that got Tool's attention to want you to be the Tool Army ambassador? What were you doing online or in the community or in that got their attention to come
You
to
know,
come to you?
yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, I think that, I did know some people within the Tool crew, the Tool family, and you sort of build up, some trust, and you sort of build up a relationship, a rapport over time. And, I have a vinyl account on Instagram called Melodies Vinyl, and I have been collecting vinyl since 2011. And
Mhm.
I posted on Instagram, and, I love to share my collection, and I love music. It's something I'm just so passionate about. And, I just think it was all, just serendipitous the way everything came together for sure. But
Cool. Cool. Why vinyl? What was it? Was the vinyl, like, from the dad part of things? Is that how you got into vinyl?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I had a vinyl collection. Disney or, Peter and the Wolf, I think was one of my first vinyl records when I was a kid. And my dad had a vinyl collection, and I would just sit and sift through the records and just look at the art. It just drew me in. I just loved going through my dad's collection. And so I do think that a lot of it for me is just very sentimental. But I really started collecting pretty seriously in 2011. My first husband died in a car accident in
Yikes, I'm sorry.
2009, and music was very therapeutic for me. It was just something that really, it has always been therapeutic for me. But during that time, I was really discovering a lot of different music outside of just, what I was always listening to. I don't know if you've ever heard of Townes Van Zandt.
Of course.
Yeah, but
Lungs is one of my favorite songs.
really, I just love Townes Van Zandt, and he's got such sad songs,
Yeah.
and I was
Won't you lend your lungs to me?
I
Mine
love
are
that.
collapsing. Sorry.
So I got into all kinds of different music, and I really started collecting in 2011. Actually, you know what was one of my first records was Pussifer, Conditions of My Parole,
Sure.
and I got that, and
Does
I just
does that ambassadorness extend to A Perfect Circle and Pucifer stuff as well?
I mean, I definitely share a lot of that stuff on Instagram,
Mhm.
and I love A Perfect Circle and Pussifer, and I go to those shows as much as I can as well. I actually just went to see Pussifer in Chicago for the Normal Isn't tour. I don't know if you got a chance to go to that, but
Yeah, I went to 2 different ones,
yeah,
Vegas and San Diego.
nice. Yeah, I've seen Pussifer a few times and, of course, went to Sasanta and had a great time with that. But as far as, formally working for them, no, I don't formally work for them or anything. But I'm more than happy to, talk to
Yeah.
fans, anything, all encompassing with Tool. And, of course, Perfect Circle and Pussifer are included in that.
So, it's no secret that Tool fans can be intense, let's say. Let's use that word. How do you deal with that intensity? Like, because 'cause I'm sure again, if you listen to this podcast at all, you must be a Tool fan on some level, and if not, then I will inform you that the Tool fans have a history of being very I don't know, they're almost detectives in a way, and they take this stuff very seriously, whether it be merch, music, news. There are I don't wanna generalize Tool fans. There are some that don't, but how do you deal with the more intense fans? Like, is there a protocol?
I think at the end of the day, they're very passionate, and I see that. They love Tool, and they're
Passionate is
very
the right
passionate.
word.
Exactly. And they take the artwork very seriously, and I can appreciate that. They take the posters very seriously, and there's a few groups, on Facebook where they
Mhm.
have dialogue over all of this stuff and that I'm a part of, and I am happy to help. I love helping give information, if there's for example, at Sonic Temple, there was an issue with the poster not arriving in time. So I was able to
Sure.
get the word out, to everybody because they were kind of freaking out, because they had been standing in line, So I understand the intensity that they have. I get it. And I, being a fan, completely know the stereotypes of Tool fans. And I understand. You do have to have a thick skin. Not everybody is kind. Not everybody
Yeah.
has nice things to say to me. They don't know. Maybe they don't know
Yeah.
me. Maybe they've never met me. I'd like to think that if more people met me in person, that they'd be a bit kinder because they see that I'm just genuine, and I'm just here to help the fans.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the
Without
day,
getting compensated for it either. So it's not like, you're just doing this out of I don't necessarily wanna say the goodness of your heart because you're a fan and you have the, access, I guess.
exactly, exactly. And I understand that they wanna just be heard. I think a lot of times people really just want to be
Rod.
heard, and I don't think that they felt necessarily like they were able to be heard before came into this role. So I
Sure.
think that if I can just say to them, with some empathy, "I hear you. I understand you're upset the poster arrived damaged, or, you don't know what's going on or whatever. So let me help you, or let me just hear what you have to say and see if we can work something out and see if I can get you some help or something like that. And genuinely, people are always, once they see that I'm here to just help them and get them some information and straighten things out a little bit, they feel heard. And I think that, that just that little bit of like connecting with the fans, of just saying like, I'm here for you, because I just genuinely am here for them.
Mhm.
A lot better, but yeah,
Is it
I love the passionate fans. I love that they're so passionate. They just have so many strong opinions, and I get it.
what's is it mostly poster people that you're dealing with in the middle ground?
Yeah, it's a lot of the Facebook groups. They deal with a lot of the merchandise flipping, and I
Mhm.
am not condoning flipping in any way. I don't get involved in any of that. I'm just
Yeah.
here to help when they purchase things directly from the band. So I hear the fans on certain things, and if I can help them, I will. Sometimes I can't. But
Yeah.
I do like the feedback. I do take that into consideration, and I do share that feedback with management as much as I can. The fans are loving the option of buying merchandise online from the tour.
Yeah. I think it's been a good thing. I think it cuts down on some of the intensity in line or at the shows. And it
Exactly.
kind of cuts down on the resale stuff too.
Exactly. Yeah, and they just, they are loving this artwork that comes out, and even if they can't go to the show, if they can get that poster, that's something that they get really excited about. So we've had that option, for the last couple tours, where they could purchase that online. And so now, that's something that I can help with. I can make
Yeah.
sure that the fans are getting the feedback, and they're getting
Maybe
heard.
maybe not including poster stuff, because I'm sure you do more than that. I'm sure you do more than just help people fix posters.
Yes.
What are some of the other things that happen regularly aside from the artwork that you do?
We have meetings. We do meetings every week where we just kind of come together and we talk about what's going on behind the scenes, and what shows are coming up and what we need to do to prepare for it, and just make sure we have all of our information, getting out to the fans and stuff like that. And I do bring up the vinyl. I just wanted to say that. I know the fans want the vinyl.
The
Yep.
on reissue or 10,000 days?
Yes,
Or
those are
both?
the top questions I get. So the top questions I get are, when is the Anima reissue coming out? When is 10,000 Days on vinyl coming out? And can we also get a Lateralis not on a picture disc? So I
Mhm.
hear the fans, and I do bring that up as much as, possible, to make sure that, again, that's what they want. And so I'm just here to be that person who can
So
tell
they
me.
know is what you're saying. It's coming directly from the horse's mouth. They know. They know
They know.
we and you listening want those 2 vinyls.
Exactly.
They've heard. What's
Exactly.
your,
Exactly.
like, favorite story since you've been doing this? Like, what's the funnest thing that's happened or the craziest thing that's happened or both?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. The funnest thing that's happened. Well, the craziest thing that's happened, let me tell you that. First off, I went to the Hawaii shows in December, and it was it was during Numa. Maybe it was the second or third song on the set, and I saw commotion up on the second level, and I'm trying to see what's going on in case security needs to go check it out, and they started doing chest compressions on somebody. So somebody, yeah, they were doing chest compressions during Numa, of all things. And the nurse and me wanted to go, oh my gosh, do I need help? Obviously they didn't need help, but it was a very distracting thing. The crowd was very aware of what was going on, and it was a very scary thing, but the person did live, thankfully. But that was definitely the craziest thing. As far as, probably the coolest thing, I finally met the band. I never met the band before I became the Tool Army ambassador. I never tried to meet the band even.
Sure.
I didn't even really go to shows because I didn't know anybody who would go with me. I
Mm.
missed a lot of shows, sadly. I wish I could go back in time and just go to those
Yeah,
solo.
me too. Yeah,
Yeah, I
especially
would
those earlier years.
exactly. I wish I could go back in time and go and just have the courage to go solo, and I didn't. I just genuinely didn't have anybody that wanted to go with me, who liked Tool even. So that, I never met the band, and I finally, got to meet the band, and of course they were so thankful and appreciative and
Did you
wonderful.
meet them all at one time, like at a show or something?
Yeah, at a show. Yeah, yeah, but I just respect their space and their privacy, and I'm very professional backstage, and, so inside, I'm, like, just trying not to be a bumbling idiot,
I've been
just
there. I've been there.
yeah, you're just trying you're like your brain just is, like, short circuiting because, it's a surreal moment, these guys make our favorite music, so
Hmm.
it's such a huge deal, but at the end of the day, they're just regular people who make incredible music, and they're just so down to earth and such great
Nice.
people, it's such a pleasure working with the whole crew. I love the whole crew and the whole Tool family so much.
Met a number of people that work behind the scenes, and they've all mainly been really nice. Mainly.
Yeah.
I've been a Tool Army member so long that, like, I got grandfathered in and I don't have to pay anymore. So,
Yes,
do you remember when that happened?
I
Is that
do.
kinda around when you came in?
Yeah, I do remember that, and so I still have people who had some issues with that transition, so I've had to, kinda help people get their accounts straightened out, and they should have been grandfathered in, and they weren't, and yeah, so that's exactly the kind of stuff that I can help out with.
Sometimes I like to go check, and it just says, like, I don't know, 1,000 years or something before I have to pay or or like 900
Right.
years or something. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
'cause
know I'm not gonna live that long, but it's still fun
it's
to
just comforting.
look. Yes, it is. It is comforting. Where do you see? Because 'cause you're the ambassador, I don't know, like, who you report I'm sure you report to management and whatnot, but, like, is there a direction that you are moving the Tool Army? Is there, like, stuff that you would like it to grow into? Like, how would you like it to change with the times or with what's happening? Like, what are your goals with the Tool Army?
Yeah, my goals really are I would love for more people to log in on the band site
Okay.
and participate in the community. I know there's Facebook and there's other groups out there, but I would love for that if they just logged into the website and, shared their memories, shared their merchandise, shared anything, anything that they want to talk about. I really love when we do the Tool Army meetups. So at every show, we're trying to do Tool Army meetups where we all get together. And it's just creating a really nice, it's such a nice moment for everybody to come together, because, there you see a screen name and you don't even have a face
Yeah.
to go with it, with the name, and then you meet people, and then every show you get back together again, and it's just such a wonderful community. I really just want to strengthen the community because we're really in times where we're so disconnected from each other, you know and we're chronically online, and it's nice to really just focus on community in these times. We really need each other, and we're connecting over Tool. I mean, it's such a beautiful thing. I love Tool Army meetups. We did one in Sonic Temple, and we just had such a great time. So we're going to plan more Tool Army meetups for the upcoming festival shows. We've got Riot Fest now. We've got Louder Than
Yeah, they
Life.
just released yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. And Aftershock as well. So, and of course, the fans want to know, when are they going to play the Sphere? That's that's always the big question. Of course, Danny and Adam have talked about that recently. Or you talked to Adam, or you talked to Danny about it.
Yes, I was the guy who released that.
Yeah, that's right. And that whole thing kind of blew up, didn't it?
It did, it did. I was gonna ask you about it in a second, but since we're there, I
We're
would
there.
love to know how that was interpreted on that end. Did you have to have a meeting about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just, something that was talked about behind the scenes, but ultimately
Mhm.
it's the band's decision if they wanted to do that or
Sure.
not. And there's so many different parts to making that happen, to making that whole thing happen, that it was really just something that they were kind of thinking about and talking about. And now it's sort of, confirmed, especially by Adam at the latest, that it's going to happen at some point. There's nothing, on the books yet. So
Sure.
yes, it's a little
I
more.
guess I was more yeah, it is a little more confirmation. I guess I was a little more curious on, like, after that blew up, if there was, like, any, because I kind of felt a little strange about it, because I don't feel like I pulled it out of him, but he did tell me, and then I released it, so I was a little like, "My bad." I was just curious, like, how the
Oh,
reception
the
on
cat's out of
management
the bag
was.
now.
What was that?
The cat's out of the bag now.
Yeah, yeah. So you would like to build more community within the Tool Army, more meetups.
Yes, absolutely.
How do you balance what you can and can't say? Because again, it's a very mysterious band. Fans are like detectives. You said you've signed an NDA, which I'm sure is standard with stuff like this, but I'm sure people are asking you questions all the time. Again, how do you balance that? How do you reconcile knowing things that other people don't, and also being in touch with the fans probably more than most. Like how do you keep what you know to yourself? Like, is it hard?
Oh, is I bring as much integrity as a person to this role, and I take it very seriously. And trust is everything, and I never want to betray their trust. So if they tell me something, if I find out something, 100%, going to keep that a secret until they're ready to release that to the fans. And that's just the level of integrity that you have to have as an ambassador. Um, the fans will ask me stuff, they'll DM me, can you tell me this? Can you tell me that? I can't, and I would never they they mean the whole world to me. So I try to make sure I bring as much professionalism, integrity as I can to the role. Not hard at all. Like,
Sure. That's a great answer. Yeah. Again, working with these guys and what you get to do and the perks, like why would you jeopardize anything?
exactly. It's a privilege to be able to do what I do, and I realize that. So just every day I realize it's a privilege.
So being the liaison between the band and the fans, do you often get what do you think the attitude towards fans from the band level is in your perspective? Like, how does Tool think about us? How does Tool react to some of the feedback that you give them? And by Tool, I mean like the whole camp. I don't necessarily mean the band. Like, what are their reactions to some of the things that you you tell them when after interacting with fans?
So the band has always had that level of mysteriousness, and there's always been, they know the fans are intense. They know the fans are passionate, and they understand that. So they love the fans. I mean, they really want to make the fans happy. Um, please everybody all the time, and they get that.
'Cause I do think there is some validity to.
I do say that sometimes my role is being the suggestion box and the complaint department.
Sure.
So I definitely heard from a lot of those fans. I think they just want to feel heard. So I can give that feedback to the band and say, if we're ever going to do this again, give us some, error instructions or something like that. Maybe it wasn't the band, maybe is the production company or something like that, so it's all about
Sure.
communication. How can we improve our communication and make things a little more clear?
Without giving anything away, if you don't have to, is that something that they would do again, you think?
Question. I don't know. If they want to, they want to. And very
Sure.
no, it's a very tool answer, but if they want to, they'll make it happen. And if they don't, yeah.
You being a fan as well, I'm sure have your own questions and wants and needs when it comes to the music and bands and band itself. Again, you get a little more access and whatnot, but what how do you see Tool going in the future? Like, again, without giving anything away, what would you like to see happen other than, with not within the Tool army, but like where do you see Tool in 5 years? Where do you see the community in 5 years? Other than an album or something or the sphere, like what are your big like hopes for what's to come?
Oh, they are working on new music. I think that we should all be so grateful that they're still making new music for us. So I just approach everything with gratitude and such respect for these guys that are still, making music for us. I mean, they, Inoculum came out just blown away. So this level of, to that they're making another album because I did think that that was going to be the last one. I that they're making or working on new music at the moment. Love for there to be another world tour. The Latin American tour, first time they had been to some of these countries of America, and the fans,
Mhm.
mm, you know, the idea that Tool might come back, or the fact that they're working on new music, hopes are that they do another tour there in South America and go back to some of these countries, that the fans are so grateful and they just love Tool so much. And they're, asking me when is Tool coming back? So I hope for the next 5 years, sure.
Nice. To kind of wrap it up, what what is one thing you wish most fans would know about that would make your life easier, I guess, or that like wh- what is one thing you would say to the entire Tool fan base that maybe they don't quite think about themselves or maybe some do, but is there one insight that you would like to give about to Tool fans after having this position that you have that, you know, might want to say to every Tool fan out there?
I mean, just know that I'm here to help, and I appreciate every fan and coming to every show and participating in the meetups and participating. Want to make sure that we are, strengthening that community with each other. It's a really beautiful thing, when cool fans can all come together and strengthen that community. That's such an important thing for me. And so my hope is, let it on the internet really, like let's just be kinder and gentler with each other. Life is hard enough as it is. So, let's be patient, with Tool. We know how they work and we all know how long they
They
take.
definitely ask for your patience.
And patience is something that, important to have in this community. We've learned that over the years. Patient with everything. And yeah, so yeah, communication, patience, yeah, all of really important to help the fans. And always going to be haters who say about they don't know, they people who've never met me or don't know what I do or they've got to say or whatever, that's fine. I have thick skin, I can handle it. But I really just genuinely appreciate the fans who positive attitude.
Nice. Nice. I think that's a very positive way to put to wrap that up. Be patient and be nice to people is pretty much what you're saying.
Like,
What last couple of questions. What's your favorite Tool song?
gosh, I have gone back and forth over the years, but Rosetta Stone is
Okay.
everything. It's everything for me. I see it every time I see it live. I mean, it just all the things that I need, and it gives me goosebumps, and I could listen to it every day for the rest of my life.
That's a good
There's
answer because that one changes all the time. Like
it
right now, I have different ones I like listening to, and I have different ones I like seeing live. Like
and
they've been playing H lately, and I've never seen that live, so I'm really curious about if I'm gonna get a chance to see that song.
good. It's so good. They
Yeah,
just played it at Sonic Temple and Crawl Away.
I'm ho- yeah, I'm hoping to go to Riot Fest, so fingers crossed I get to see that there.
I would love to
I
see you
like
there.
Rosetta Stone. Huh?
See you there.
Yeah. I if you're going to be there, we will. I will. I'll go to the meetup. I am a Tool Army grandfathered member. But favorite song overall, probably Parabola and Parable. That's the one that hits all the notes for me. It's melodic. It's heavy. It's technical. It's like I said, it hits all those numbers for me. I really like your answer too on Rosetta Stone because that song also does the same thing, but it also has that like funny element to it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That satire element, but it's still like a very technical banging song. Yeah, I think we've talked to the same person recently who is working on a project, let's say. I don't want to give it away. And he was asking me the same questions about songs and whatnot, and what my feelings are on Tool. And I always really like that they, as serious as Tool can be, and I think this is something fans should keep in mind. When it comes to anything Tool related, as serious and artistic as they are also just as like non-serious and comedic. And I think something Tool fans should keep in mind. They're as serious as all this stuff is, it's also, you know, just music, just a band, just life, you know?
Absolutely. And you don't always have to take it so seriously. And I love that Maynard brings that element into, Lucifer too. It's all about
Yeah.
comedy. He loves comedy and of that as well. I mean, we all know Bill Hicks inspired Anima and with his Arizona Bay. That Tool fans have artistic side to them. A lot of Tool fans are very artistic. It's so very funny. I voted best sense of humor in high school. I had I had that going for me as well, so I can appreciate the comedic side for sure. My favorite songs is because goddamn shit the bed. And my kids have grown up with this music. All my kids have
Mhm.
listened to Tool lives. Know these Tool songs, and they know all the funny lines, and it's kind of a joke in our family. Say, "Oh, the Wi-Fi shit the bed," or we always
I use it from time to time myself. So, yeah, I if people wanna find you, Melody, and have questions about Tool Army, where can they find you? How should they get in contact with you?
so log into toolband.com, and if you go into the community, I'm there every every day, maybe a few times a week at least. And you can find me on Instagram at melodies_vinyl. I share not just cool stuff on there. I share a lot of my vinyl collection, a lot of the music that I'm currently listening to. My stories, I'd like to think are pretty entertaining. They're tool or music related in general. Um,
Mhm.
Also, a big nature person, and I love hiking and being out in nature. So I share a lot of stuff like that. There's a lot of other interests that I have. Um, I'll probably post a sunset from Lake Michigan tonight or something. Love you're into any kind of nature stuff like that. Nature and music. That's mainly what my account is about. So if you
Nice.
need me, you can DM me. I'm also on groups, Facebook. You can always tag me in, in the main merchandise group or tool groups on Facebook. I'm usually in there seeing what the fans have to say and trying to help out where I can.
Sure. Well, thank you so much. I don't think I think you covered most of the bases. If there's any lasting things you wanna tell fans, like when the new album's coming out, when are they playing this Sphere, when is the world tour? No, I'm just kidding.
When's the vinyl being released?
Yeah, when is the vinyl being released?
You're just gonna have to wait. You're just gonna have to wait and
Yeah,
see.
patience, right?
Patience. It's
But
all
seriously,
patience.
is there any lasting, statements you wanna give before we go?
Yeah, no, I just wanna appreciate everybody who comes to the shows, who I would love to meet you. If you see me walking by, stop me and say hi. I love to chat. On the street, somebody stopped me on the street last night. I was wearing a Tool shirt, and he stopped me, and we talked about Tool for 20 minutes. Shows,
That's part of being
say
in the
hi.
community.
I'm almost always wearing a Tool shirt. I've got Tool stickers on my car. People are always flagging me down just to talk about Tool. Appreciate when people stop me, they see me about Tool because it's one of my favorite things in the whole world. So
Nice. Well, thank you so much, Melody. Thank you for coming on. I'm sure there's some insight that I'm hoping people listening got some insight and, know where to go now if they have Tool Army related questions. I really appreciate you coming on and talking.
so much. I appreciate you having me, and it's been a pleasure. And I hope to see you at
Nice.
Riot.
Me too. I hope to be there as well. It's a crazy lineup, in my opinion. There's some wild stuff on
Wild.
that lineup.
It's so
I would
wild.
One of the crazier ones is they have the Sex Pistols and the guy that used to be in Sex Pistols other band, like, on the same day. That's crazy to me. And then you
Did
got
you see Tricky is
Tool.
on there
Tricky?
from the Parabola music video?
Oh, that's right. He was in The Fifth Element. That is wild. Yeah, and then they have, like, Nas, and then you have Tool and Alanis Morissette. Again, I have eclectic taste, so, I was a little shocked and right right up my alley. So
You're a Towns Van
and
Zandt fan too, so
yeah, I love Towns Van Zandt. And Tool, I don't think has played Ride Fest before.
no, I would have to look that up. I can't recall.
Yeah, I don't think they have. So I'm excited for that. Again, thank you, Melody. If you want to find her, she's on Instagram at melody_vinyl, right? And you can find her on the on Tool's social media on their website, their own like community page. And again, thank you for coming on, and thank you, fans, for listening.
Spiral Out Podcast is recorded, edited, produced, and mixed by me, your host, Chris West, because I'm just gangster like that. Go to rockabilia.com. Use the code Spiral Out to get 10% off your order, because they have all the coolest band merch on the internet. Not only that, they're just really nice and cool people and support this podcast. So rockabilia.com.